He moved through the tower before sunrise, gathering the city's secrets where they settled in corners and glass. The job taught him to see what others miss. Patterns, rhythms, the tiny wrong notes that mean everything. One morning, he noticed a friend of the boss slip into a restricted hallway with a badge that didn't match his swagger. He sent a warning upward, the kind that often evaporates when the messenger is unseen. By night, the building pulsed with a nervous hum. By morning, the truth stepped into the light, loud, undeniable. When power refuses to listen, who pays the price? Malik knew the tower like a second skin. Elevators whispered at predictable moments, conference rooms exhaled last night's ambition, and the marble floors told stories in scuffs and shoe prints. He worked while the city yawned, a black man in a crisp uniform, moving quietly through a world that noticed him only when something was spilled. In that silence, invisibility became both shield and burden. He kept the place breathing, yet eyes slid past him as if he were part of the furniture. From the top floor, the billionaire CEO watched the skyline the way a pilot watches instruments. He was the kind of leader celebrated for vision and certainty. Near him orbited a chosen circle, none closer than a lifelong friend who wore confidence like a tailored suit. The friend drifted in and out with the ease of family. No appointment needed, no questions asked. Doors opened for him. Smiles followed him. Rules bent themselves into hospitality. Malik noticed the details others skimmed. A guest badge reused. A door to a server closet left ajar at an hour it never should be. A laptop left open on a desk that belonged to someone else, its screen flashing a spreadsheet that looked too polished to be accidental. He knew better than to assume, but he knew the rhythm here, and this rhythm was off. Before going to the next part of the story, we have a request. As we have a dream to reach 1,000 subscribers, and without your support it won't be possible, so please help use to reach this milestone. Also share your thought in the comment and don't forget to watch the last interesting part of the story. Now let's get back to the story. He documented what he had seen with the steadiness the job had taught him. Anonymized report to the building's integrity line. Time-stamped notes in the maintenance system no one else used for anything but fixes. A quiet word to a guard who often watched him a beat too long, as if waiting for him to justify his presence. The warning flowed upward, but he had watched too many truths lose their edges in hallways designed to keep friction out of sight. The day ahead sparkled with expectation. Investors gathered. Cameras tested their angles. The friend seemed everywhere at once. Checking the boardroom, coordinating with staff who weren't his, steering conversations with that gentle gravity that turns no into yes. He had the kind of presence that makes people relax their guard. Malik had seen that power at work before, a charm that functioned like a key. Small tells multiplied. The friend's arrival before the earliest executive. The blink of a red light near a door that should have remained green. The faint, chemical smell of a new USB casing near the IT floor, out of place among lemon cleaner and ink. In the pantry near the boardroom, a catering list with an unfamiliar vendor name that looked almost, but not quite, like the firm's usual supplier. Almost. Bias hummed under everything. Malik felt it in the way conversations paused when he entered a room, in the way eyes appraised his uniform before his face. When he left the warning with the guard, the man nodded without meeting his gaze. In a world that prized certainty, Malik's word arrived with an asterisk. Too ordinary to be urgent, too black to be indispensable. He carried that weight back to the elevator and pressed the button for a lower floor, the door closing like a slow blink. By late afternoon, the tower braced for spectacle. A partnership was set to be unveiled. New funds, new horizons, a narrative polished enough to gleam. The friend's fingerprints were on every detail. Malik cleaned the lobby's glass until the skyline doubled itself in reflection. He caught, for a second, the friend behind him in the mirrored pane, adjusting a cufflink with a smile that never reached his eyes. It looked like victory. Night fell. Somewhere above him, a terminal flickered. Logs recorded an access that didn't line up with the company's heartbeat. A late-night login from a restricted floor. A request that looked like routine treasury work, yet moved resources in a pattern designed to vanish behind legitimate noise. The system hesitated. A rule fired. A gate stayed closed. And still, morning came with coffee carts and microphones. Smiles. Handshakes. The sort of confidence that makes the air feel expensive. Malik moved through it all, collecting stray cups and the last-minute lint of a story about to be told. The higher the light climbed, the more the edges began to show. The boardroom filled with cameras and the kind of applause that feels pre-written. Screens warmed to life. A summary of impact initiatives flashed numbers, logos, a future sketched in clean lines. Behind those lines, another set of numbers waited. The stalled transfer, the midnight access, the trail of exceptions that spelled intent. Risk had done its job. So had a cleaner with a quiet pen. On the top floor, an alert landed where it could no longer be ignored. Internal audit forwarded a snapshot of the night. Badges, timestamps, the path of a request intercepted before it could become loss. The guest badge appeared in the log where no guest should be. The spreadsheet in the screenshot echoed the one Malik had glimpsed, shell names that rhymed with real ones, a mirror designed to mislead. Silence arrived like weather. The friend, poised at the head of the table, reached for a glass with a hand that didn't quite steady. Across from him, the CEO scanned the alert twice, then a third time, as if repetition could manufacture a different ending. Around the room, faces recalibrated themselves in real time. Admiration to doubt, warmth to distance. Security moved without theatrics. A door opened and closed with a softness that felt loud. The friend's power, built on access and assumption, thinned as the facts took shape in public light. Outside the glass, the skyline stared back, indifferent but vast. In the reflection, Malik's figure hovered at the edge with a cart and a caution sign, a man who had simply refused to let what he knew disappear. The spectacle ended not with a speech but with procedures. Meetings canceled themselves. The crowd evaporated into emails and calls. An investigation began, assembling proof from the ordinary places where truth hides. Logs, cameras, checklists, the simple discipline of someone who noticed. In the days that followed, the company's public voice spoke in measured phrases about safeguards and integrity. Inside, a different conversation took root. For the CEO, shock folded into a quieter reckoning. Loyalty had turned blind in the presence of charm and status. A lifelong friend had found gaps and turned them into doors. An employee whose work many tried not to see had recognized the sound of a wrong note and chosen to act. The hierarchy that made certain voices louder had cost the company more than money. It had cost clarity. Changes came that looked small but felt seismic. The ethics line stopped being a box to tick. New protocols required that reports from outsourced and frontline staff receive the same attention as those from the C-suite. Cross-level briefings began, not as a performance but as practice. Security retrained to watch for patterns, not just titles. In rooms that had once been sealed by status, chairs appeared for people who cleaned those rooms at dawn. As for Malik, recognition arrived in a way that didn't require a spotlight. A note of thanks, a meeting on the top floor where he wasn't asked to stand. A title change that acknowledged responsibility as more than a mop and a keycard. But the real shift lived in the glances that learned to linger and see. He was not a symbol. He was a person whose attention had saved a story from becoming a loss. This is how injustice often works. In the quiet, in the reflex to trust those who look like power and doubt those who keep power's floors from slipping. The question lingers for anyone listening. Whose warnings are we stepping around today, and what will it cost us tomorrow?